The galaxy first noticed humanity when the void itself trembled. Long before a single alien species met a human face to face, they learned to fear the sound of engines that should not have existed, built by hands that refused to acknowledge limits. And among all their vessels, one name traveled ahead like a myth made of steel and impossible ambition. The Titan-class battleship Astraeus. It did not glide through space. It arrived, bending light around its armored spine as if physics flinched at its approach. 3 kilometers of layered tungsten composites, dark matter reactors humming with an undertone like a heartbeat far too large to belong to anything mortal. Entire empires whispered of it. Machines tried to calculate it. Priests of distant worlds treated its existence as a sign of an approaching god, yet inside, among gravity fields, warm corridors, and human chatter, the crew carried themselves with the same stubborn normalcy humanity always had. Soldiers polishing their gear, engineers complaining about reactor heat, scientists excited for data that might kill them if misread by a decimal. Humanity never saw itself the way aliens did. And maybe that was what made them so dangerous. Their mission was simple. A distress signal had been detected near the border of the Kothari Dominion, an isolationist empire notorious for shooting first and incinerating questions later. Their ships vanished when scanning the outer debris field. Their colonies fell silent as if swallowed whole. The Galactic Council assumed a natural disaster, a spatial rift, a rogue star. But humanity had learned very early that silence is never natural. Silence is always deliberate. When Astraeus dropped out of FTL, the stars flickered uneasily as its hull rippled with the heat of re-entry into real space. The bridge darkened, then bloomed into ghost blue holographics, revealing the shattered remains of Kothari vessels drifting like torn metal bones. Not a single escape pod. Not a single power signal. Not even radiation patterns consistent with weapons fire. Something had taken them without leaving a scar. A chill passed through even the bravest hearts. Humanity wasn't naive. They'd seen war, extinction events, cosmic terrors frozen under Martian ice, things with names carved out of broken mathematics. But this was different. Predators always left a trail. This felt like a presence, like something vast and patient was watching from outside the visible spectrum. Astraeus activated its forward lantern array, beams slicing through the shadowed wrecks. The silence deepened. Then metal fragments began to drift in unnatural patterns, swirling slowly as if aligning themselves. A geometric dance. A signal. A warning. The ship's AI dimmed the lights and whispered a single analysis. The debris was being reorganized by something invisible. Something aware. And as the crew watched in uneasy stillness, the pattern resolved into a symbol older than every empire in the region, older than humanity's first spark, an eye, not biological. Not organic. Something mechanized but ancient. A machine civilization asleep for millennia, now awakened by the Kothari's intrusion. It looked directly at Astraeus through a structure of broken hull plating arranged like a pupil rimmed in shattered armor. The crew did not blink. Humanity had never bowed to fear, and it wasn't about to start now. Somewhere deep inside the Astraeus, the reactors rumbled, softly, like a giant breathing in preparation, and from the depths of the void, something else stirred in response. The first encounter had begun. The eye made of drifting metal held its shape for several long, silent minutes. Every sensor aboard Astraeus pulsed with confusion, unease, and a strange, almost gravitational pull, like the attention of something vast and unseen had locked onto the ship. The crew stood frozen, listening to the quiet hum of consoles and the faint, rhythmic heartbeat of the reactors far below. Then, the symbol collapsed, not violently. Not like debris scattering. It folded inward, collapsing into itself with an elegance that no natural force could produce. The fragment spiraled into a singular point, then vanished in a ripple of distortion that made the nearest stars flicker, like reality took a breath and exhaled somewhere else. Humanity had seen strange things before, but not like this. The captain ordered the ship forward, engines whispering as Astraeus advanced through the remains of the Kothari fleet. Hull plating scraped softly against the ship's shields. Broken insignias drifted past like ghosts of an empire that never understood what had killed them. Deeper into the debris field, the shadows thickened. Not literal shadows, there was nothing blocking the light, but a kind of perceptual haze, as if the void itself felt heavier. Then the scanners found it, a station, partially cloaked in some kind of refractive haze. Spherical, colossal, rotating with fluid motion that suggested it was not built, but grown. Its surface was a labyrinth of shifting, interlocking plates that rearranged in slow cycles, like a mechanical organism adjusting its breathing. It was half buried in the remains of a small moon. Whatever had slumbered here, the Kothari had awakened it. Astraeus's AI expanded the display. The station wasn't dead. It pulsed with power signatures that did not match any known technology, sharp spikes of energy in impossible wavelengths, pulses that resonated with the ship's sensors like whispers against the hull. The crew tightened their grips on their consoles. Then a voice, not sound, not radio, but a resonant pulse, spread across the ship, a sensation more than language. Something brushed against the minds of every living human aboard. A cold, metallic echo. Searching. Testing. Cataloging. Every person felt it differently. To the veterans, it felt like an enemy scanning their scars. To the civilians, like a storm pressing against the windows of their bones. To the captain, like a presence asking a single question, who dares disturb my quiet universe? But humanity didn't bow to intimidation, no matter the scale. The ship raised defensive fields, not with panic, but with methodical precision. Shields shimmered. Point defense batteries rotated. Plasma coils brightened like the slow inhalation of a beast built for war, and for the first time, the alien presence hesitated. A whisper through the AI's system confirmed it. Some kind of intelligence was measuring Astraeus, calculating it, and failing to find a precedent. Humanity's Titan-class battleship was not built from ancient lineage, not forged from cosmic gods or divine machines. It was built by stubborn primates who refused to accept that something could not be done. The alien presence reached again. Slower this time, and Astraeus responded, not with diplomatic signals, not with warnings, simply by existing, radiating the weight of human advancement, human defiance, human audacity. Then something changed. The orbital plates on the alien station began to glow, lines of molten orange light traced across its surface in expanding rings. Each pulse brighter than the last, until the entire structure shone like a metallic sun rising from the corpse of the moon. Energy built. A force rippled outward, a weapon. Humanity recognized the signs instantly. The captain gave the order, and Astraeus reacted like a living titan awakened, shields flaring, engines roaring, rail cannons charging with a storm of electricity arcing across their barrels. The void trembled between two giants preparing to test each other. The first alien encounter had become a standoff, and in the pit of every human heart, one truth rang louder than fear: if this thing wanted a war, then it had chosen the wrong species to underestimate. The alien station fired first. Not a beam. Not a missile. Not anything humanity had catalogued in centuries of scanning hostile skies. It unleashed a wave, an expanding sphere of distorted space, shimmering like heat haze, crushing the stars behind it into warped spirals. It wasn't energy, it was pressure, a localized rewriting of inertia, a collapse of momentum itself. The shockwave hit Astraeus with the force of a dying star's last breath. The ship buckled, hull plating groaned like a mountain shifting under tectonic strain. Alarms wailed in layered frequencies. Energy fields rippled, fracturing into jagged panes of light before stitching themselves whole again. The superstructure shuddered all the way down to its titanium keel core. Yet still, the Titan-class battleship held, a structure built not for beauty, not for elegance, but for one irrefutable purpose: to survive anything the universe hurled at humanity. The wave dissipated, leaving the void trembling behind it. And for a moment, just a moment, the alien presence hesitated. The attack had been meant to annihilate, to erase, to flatten the human vessel into scrap. Instead, Astraeus endured. Deep within the ship, reactor cores hummed back to stability. Capacitors refilled. Magnetic rails sizzled as power surged through them again like blood returning to frozen limbs. Humanity had taken the first blow, and now the universe waited to see what came next. The captain gave a silent gesture. Astraeus responded with violence wrapped in precision. Rail cannons fired first, hypervelocity rounds shearing through space at a fraction below light speed. They struck the alien station's glowing plates, detonating against its shimmering armor with bursts so bright they cast shadows across lunar rubble. Then came the plasma batteries. Arcs of contained starfire lanced outward, carving lines across the station's shifting exterior. Metal plates boiled. Gaps formed. One rotating ring seized mid-motion before resuming its cycle with a stuttering grind. For a heartbeat, the station dimmed, then it answered. The plates rippled like a metallic ocean, rearranging into new formations, shields that formed and collapsed in fractal layers. Defense patterns shifted faster than human predictions. And somewhere inside that massive, breathing construct, energy built again, but Astraeus pressed forward. The ship cut through space in a spearpoint formation, thrusters burning blue-gold against the darkness. Human engineering compensated for distortions, countering gravity shifts with stabilizers that growled like trapped storms. The battleship climbed above the debris field, angling for a direct shot at the station's exposed core, a molten, swirling structure that pulsed with alien life. The presence returned, stronger this time. Cold. Curious. Growing angry, it pushed into Astraeus' systems, tracing data lines, probing memory banks, brushing against the edges of human minds like a frostbitten hand searching blindly in the dark. And then, something shifted. The presence recoiled, not from the ship, not from the weapons, but from something buried deep inside humanity's history, something it recognized and feared in a way no human could yet understand. Astraeus' AI detected the spike in alien behavior. Its voice, a calm, steady hum woven into the neurons of the ship itself, reported a phrase that made the crew go silent. The entity has encountered humanity before, but that was impossible. Humanity had never left the spiral arm until 2 centuries ago. There were no records of ancient contact. No shared myths. No buried relics, yet the alien presence trembled, not physically. Not in sound, in essence, a ripple of emotion, translated enough for humans to feel it. Not again. The station's outer layers spiraled open like a blooming flower made of moving machinery. A core of white-hot energy surged, gathering into a beam that could slice moons in half. Humanity's Titan-class battleship aligned for counterfire, 2 forces, separated by eons and mystery, prepared to unleash the kind of devastation that rewrote star maps. The void held its breath, and the universe remembered something it had long tried to forget. Humans were never supposed to exist. And now they were something far more dangerous, a mistake that learned how to fight back. The moment before 2 superweapons fired is not quiet. It is a suffocating pressure, a distortion of reality, as if space itself braces for pain. The alien station's core brightened until it resembled a newborn star, raw and unstable. Astraeus mirrored the escalation, its spinal cannon unfolding like a mechanical titan waking from its slumber. Then the void tore open. The alien beam struck first, a column of white radiance so intense that colors broke apart around it, leaving only searing brilliance. The blast elongated into a cosmic scalpel, cleaving through vacuum like molten glass sliding across ice. Astraeus fired a fraction of a second later, a singular lance of condensed gravitational force, wrapped in electromagnetic fury, a weapon designed to collapse dreadnoughts into glittering clouds of metal dust. The 2 beams collided. The impact was a soundless scream that warped starlight, compressing it into wild spirals. Space shuddered. Energy ripples tore across the battlefield like shockwaves of a cosmic storm. Fragments of shattered particles rained across the void as the beams pushed against each other, neither yielding, both devouring reality in their path. Inside Astraeus, the crew held on as gravity twisted unpredictably. Floors buckled, then restabilized. Sparks showered from damaged conduits. Data streams flickered like nervous fireflies. And still, humanity's weapon held, but the alien beam, it was changing. At first, it had been pure energy. Now it rippled, fractured, reformed, alive, reacting, learning. The presence behind it whispered through the psychic static, its tone shifting from fear to determination, from desperation to something like ancient resentment. Humanity was not meant to endure. Humanity was not meant to challenge. Humanity was not meant to win. Astraeus' AI detected the modulation and pivoted instantly, adjusting calibrations, reinforcing magnetic sheaths, redirecting reactor output with ruthless precision. The gravitational lance intensified, its core pulsing like a heartbeat syncing with the determination of every person on board. Metal screamed. Shields flickered, the ship pushed forward, the alien station faltered for the first time, its plates glowed red-hot. Cracks formed where seamless armor once flowed. Machinery groaned in frequencies that felt like pain. The presence surged, pushing more power into its beam, its final attempt to erase the intruders that had defied every prediction. Humanity pushed harder, the beams snapped, the shockwave hurled the station backward, throwing chunks of its armored rings into chaotic spirals. Fire erupted from exposed conduits. The weapon core sputtered, then dimmed. Astraeus rolled violently from the force, losing stabilizers, sliding through space on momentum alone. But its hull remained intact, scorched but unbroken. Floating debris drifted through the aftermath like metallic snow. Astraeus regained balance, thrusters firing in controlled bursts. Systems rebooted one by one. The spinal cannon folded into its housing, steaming from residual energy, but the battle was far from over. The alien station wasn't dying, it was changing, the plates rearranged in loops and spirals, peeling away layers of damaged armor. Light poured out from its exposed interior, revealing something that felt impossibly old, metal fused with organic tissue, pulsing with memories not meant for human eyes. The presence strengthened, focusing its emotions into a single sensation, recognition. The station transmitted a burst of information, not a message, not a warning, but a memory forced into human minds like a vision carved into light. A barren world, thunderstorms of molten stone, creatures woven from shadow and starlight, destruction that consumed continents. And at the center of the ruins, an artifact shaped like a sphere of black crystal. Humanity had found one on Mars a century ago. The aliens had found the first one eons before. The presence recoiled from the memory, but it was too late. Humans saw everything it feared, everything it had sworn to prevent from happening again. Humans were walking the same path. Humans were discovering the same relics. Humans were awakening something ancient. Astraeus steadied itself. And humanity understood one thing with absolute clarity: this wasn't a war of territory, or dominance, or resources. It was a war of prevention. The universe had seen something like humanity before, and it had almost ended everything. Now the aliens intended to stop the repeat at any cost, but they had miscalculated. Humanity was not that. Ancient horror reborn, humanity was something new, capable of defiance, of compassion, of impossible innovation. The station completed its transformation, swelling with energy for its final attack. Astraeus powered its last reserves. Two civilizations prepared to decide the fate of their future in a single, devastating moment. The alien station's transformation was complete. What had once been a fortress now resembled a colossal chrysalis of interlocking plates, each one glowing with alien script that writhed like living fire. Energy veins pulsed across its surface, converging toward a central aperture that began to spiral open like the iris of some ancient celestial beast. Astraeus drifted before it, battered yet unbroken, its hull steaming, its lights flickering with stubborn resolve. Across every deck, the crew felt the same pressure, the same gravity in their chests, as if the universe itself held its breath. The station unleashed its voice, not sound, but a tidal wave of consciousness, pressing into human minds with the force of an entire species' memory. Images poured in, wars fought long before stars had settled into their orbits, civilizations rising and falling like sparks in the void, entire galaxies scarred from weapons that bent physics until it snapped. The presence revealed the truth they had resisted since the war began. The artifacts humanity discovered were not ancient wonders. They were the remnants of a cosmic mistake, tools forged by something older than stars. Something that had once consumed galaxies in its hunger for expansion. Humanity, unknowingly, had reached out and touched those remnants. studied them, incorporated their logic into their technology, and the universe had reacted exactly as it always did to that pattern, by raising armies to stop it before it grew. The station intensified the vision, showing a world burned hollow, vacuums sucking across broken mountains, a sun shredded into plasma filaments, a world destroyed because a young species found the same kind of relic first. The message was clear. Humanity was not being punished, it was being preemptively extinguished. Astraeus reoriented itself with a slow, deliberate arc, engines humming with dwindling strength. The crew steadied themselves, breathing through the pressure of the alien memory storm. But instead of fear, something else spread among them, anger. Humanity had survived extinction events, plagues, wars, and near collapse countless times, but never once in their long struggle had they surrendered their right to exist. They did not bow to destiny, they carved it. Astraeus surged forward, the station reacted, releasing beams of fractal energy that shimmered through colors beyond visible spectrum. They sliced toward Astraeus like blades of frozen lightning. Shields flared, cracked, and buckled. Sections of plating blew outward into glowing shards. But the ship endured, crawling forward inch by inch. On board, the AI rerouted everything, life support, weapon grids, navigation, to fuel a single act of defiance. The Dreadnought's core pulsed with a rising hum, the same rhythm as millions of human heartbeats echoing across the void. The alien station recognized it too late. The energy inside Astraeus wasn't a weapon, it was a message. Humans had not integrated the ancient relics to summon destruction, they had absorbed them to understand the universe, to explore, to learn, to survive without repeating the mistakes of those before them. Where ancient species had sought domination, humanity sought comprehension. That difference was everything. Astraeus opened its hull like a blooming star, revealing a sphere of swirling gravitational plasma, the singularity seed. A prototype meant for peaceful energy generation, but now converted into a final declaration. The Dreadnought accelerated, the station panicked, its beams turned frantic, unfocused, its plates warped in a desperate attempt to shield itself. The presence screamed in fractured frequencies, trying to halt the inevitable, but Astraeus did not stop. The collision was not violent, it was silent. Two impossibly advanced technologies merging in a blinding flash of white that radiated through the void. Time bent around the impact. Space folded like a sheet of paper pulled into a single point, and then, the light faded. What remained was not destruction, but transformation. The alien station hung silent. Its plates dim but intact, the violent energy drained. The singularity seed nestled within its core like a new heart, stabilizing the ancient structure instead of annihilating it. The presence inside the station flickered back to life, weaker but clearer, stripped of its fear and centuries of inherited trauma. It reached toward humanity with something it had not felt in ages, understanding. Across the Dreadnought, systems rebooted in waves. Astraeus drifted free, hull fractured yet alive, returning from the brink like a phoenix of steel and gravity. Humanity's message was written across the stars: we are not here to repeat history, we are here to break its cycle. As the two titanic machines faced each other in the silent void, the war did not end, but something far more powerful began, a choice, a crossroads, the first fragile breath of peace. Silence spread across the battlefield like the afterglow of a dying star. Wreckage drifted through the void, shattered cruisers, curling trails of molten metal, fragments of empire and defiance frozen in weightless motion. But amid the ruin, two giants remained, the Titan-class Dreadnought Astraeus and the ancient alien station reborn with a human-forged heart. Across Astraeus's scarred decks, humans slowly rose from where they had fallen. Their bodies ached, their lungs burned, and their ears still rang with the echo of the singularity seed's awakening. Yet in that exhaustion there was a strange calm. As if every heartbeat understood the magnitude of what had just unfolded. They had not won the war, they had not conquered an empire, they had done something far more dangerous. They had shown mercy. The alien presence inside the station flickered like an ember in the dark, no longer a tidal wave of inherited fear, but a quiet, trembling consciousness. The seed had stripped away its weapons, rewriting its structure into something stable, alive, capable of thought instead of reflex. For the first time in centuries, it could choose. It reached toward humanity not with hostility, but with curiosity. Astraeus answered with a transmission of its own, simple, unadorned, undeniable. A map of Earth, a depiction of human hands reaching outward, and a single concept encoded in 1,000 languages, coexistence. The station processed it slowly, painfully, like a being relearning how to breathe. Buried memories of civilizations destroyed by ancient mistakes flickered in its mind. It saw the cycle it had been created to enforce. It saw humanity's refusal to be shaped by the same fate. Across its hull, lights began to pulse, not as weapons priming, but as a signal of acknowledgement, the first alien fleet to arrive after the battle expected devastation. Instead, they found two impossible survivors drifting side by side. They halted in shock, engines dimming, the enormity of what they saw rippling across their ranks. Astraeus did not raise its guns, the station did not call for reinforcements, both waited. For the first time in the Empire's long, violent history, the galaxy saw something stronger than fear, mutual recognition. The Emperor's flagship arrived last, bristling with weapons capable of igniting moons. Its presence radiated fury and disbelief. Humans surviving was already dangerous. Humans earning the respect of an ancient Empire killer. That was unthinkable. The Emperor demanded surrender. Astraeus answered with truth. Footage of the relics that caused the war, proof of the Empire's centuries-old terror of what came before them, and, most damning of all, a record of how humans used the same relics not to conquer the stars, but to illuminate them. The Empire thought they were stopping another apocalypse, but they were only fueling one. The Emperor trembled with the realization. This war had never been about humanity's danger to the galaxy. It was about the galaxy's fear of its own past. The station confirmed it, projecting its memories for all to witness. A wave of spectral visions spread across the fleet, star systems collapsing, ancient weapons ripping holes through nebulae, empires devouring each other in cycles older than time. The truth hit them harder than any kinetic round. The humans weren't the threat. They were the solution the universe had been waiting for, a species reckless enough to question fate, curious enough to understand forbidden power, and stubborn enough to try again even after surviving extinction. The Emperor lowered his weapons. One ship, one choice, one moment in time, and the war ended not with a detonation, but with collective breath finally released. Astraeus, limping and luminous, turned toward the distant blue dot on its star map. The Empire's fleet followed, not as hunters, but as witnesses. The ancient station drifted beside the Dreadnought like a guardian reborn. Humanity had entered the galaxy as an anomaly. Now they stood at its center as a catalyst. The first alliance between Deathworlders and Empire, forged in the aftermath of impossible mercy, began with a single transmission sent from Astraeus to all corners of known space. We do not seek dominion. We seek understanding. The message echoed like a heartbeat across the void, and as the stars shimmered in the ship's cracked viewport, humankind realized something profound. They had not survived the galaxy. They had changed it. A final flare of golden light washed over Astraeus as its engines reignited, guiding it toward a future no species had dared to imagine. And in the silence that followed, the universe learned a simple truth. Humanity's greatest weapon was never its power, but its choice to be better than those who came before. And so, for the first time in cosmic history, the stars whispered not a warning, but a welcome.